I am Josh.
I'm Nathan.
And we are
Spring Hill Jack's original swinging jazz band.
Hi there, I'm Mike Forts and welcome back to Parlour to Parlour. The guys we're meeting today are less like an actual band and more of a loose collective where just two people conceive and compose all the music and then call on outside players to help out in the studio. Nathan Dunton writes and sings the Jack songs, and Josh Morrow brings them to life with the sophisticated arrangements he shapes on his laptop. But before we get into that, what's with Jass anyways?
We like the fact that Jass was kind of only around for a short time, and it isn't really a term that's used anymore. So we figured it was kind of like an anachronism, and that's kind of like what we are.
Here we could carry the torch of the Jass name,
Yeah.
since jazz, of course, gets all the recognition. So,
Right, exactly.
I had somebody on MySpace write us and said jazz with the big capital
idiots.
Z. I wrote back, I was like, not in our case, it's jazz,
Come on, man.
Yeah, come on.
No, we watched. We both really love Ken Burns' jazz documentaries, and in all those old pictures, you see a bunch of guys, Creoles, and people from New Orleans, and black marching bands and stuff, and right there on the big old bass drum is the jazz band. It's the original Serenaders, the original swinging jazz band and stuff. And we just thought that stuff was just fantastic.
Yeah.
In practice, the Jacks are slightly less of an anachronism than meets the eye, given that jazz, or Jass, is really just a small part of their many influences, which range from Duke Ellington and Leon Redbone to Beck and Portishead. All of these elements and more can be heard in their awesome 2007 album, The Dicky Comstock Show. Let's have Nate and Josh tell us a little bit more about how this album came together.
He had went traveling again to New Zealand for 6 months or something like that, and came back and was in town for one day before he had to go fishing, and come knocking on my door with most of the Comstock Show songs. We recorded them to a click track at my house, and then he went to Alaska, and I panicked for a good few weeks because I thought the songs were great and I didn't want to mess them up, and then I started to add little things and orchestral parts. And
yeah, we had this idea to do this introduction to the album, which we were going to do it all in lo-fi, and it would be kind of a funny little introduction with a barbershop quartet. And it was like, well, if we're going to start out the album like this, why don't we see if we can reintroduce this idea somewhere later? And it ended up spending a lot of time on this website called OTR.com, Old Time Radio, which had all kinds of old advertisements and old radio shows, and like the Amos and Andy show and things like that. And we started listening to that and love it, and kind of had the idea to model the album after one of these radio shows.
We were at the studio one day, and Nate's like, oh, wait, I can't remember the name now. I got the name. And we were like, he's like, I can't remember it. And then later on, it was like an hour later or something, you're like, Dicky Comstock. It's Dicky Comstock. And then after that, it was the Dicky Comstock Show. So.
Though the Jack studio creations practically beg for a full-blown live treatment, all of their work, except for one live performance, has been done in the studio. Here they talk about their thoughts on live versus studio work, as well as the philosophy that steers their creative ship, and the work they've done since Dicky Comstock.
We did it once, and it about died of stress, and it was, and even then we didn't even have most of the people that it would have taken to make the album, and you have the issues of miking everyone, and getting everyone music stands and lights and monitoring, and renotating everything for everyone. And so the practical considerations for bringing the Spring Hill Jacks as we see the Spring Hill Jacks to life in a live setting would require resources and time that we absolutely just simply do not have right now. And on another level, I don't think either of us really truly enjoy entertaining on a live scale. There's certainly a very cool interaction with an audience. That's absolutely true. But I think for some reason, I can't really say why, but I think we both feel like really safe and really comfortable and really, really creative in the studio.
Neither one of us have any problems getting up and him jamming keyboards and me playing bass up at one of the bars here in town, you know what I mean? We both enjoy that because the attention's not on us, you know what I mean? But like Nate's saying, it's you know, he's the singer, you know what I mean? And he's going to get a majority of the focus on him, and neither one of us are comfortable with that, you know, like sitting here doing this video interview, you know what I mean? It's, I mean, we both, you know, yeah. So.
Why I told you earlier that I was like this, and then I met Josh and I went like this, because Josh more showed me than told me that there are no lines between these things, that the well that Beethoven drew from, that Monet drew from, that Muddy Waters drew from, that Brian Wilson drew from, is the same well. It's just they used different paints to paint whatever picture they were making, but it's like it came from the same soul, and so if you really listen, you hear that there really is no difference, and that it's just a different, maybe just a different way to express the same thing. And if you let certain things go, if you let categories go, if you stop thinking that the lines are real, then the lines are not real, and that anything can happen, and that if you can do that, then you're truly free.
There's several songs that pair up towards each other, and there's some that just stand on their own, you know what I mean? But it's like following it wherever it goes, and trying to keep our hearts in it, you know, which isn't, you know, we just finished Magic Hat, you know, we spent over a year on that track, and then Cletus McLeach, we spent over a year on it, you know, and then Sam McGee started out back in the Comstock Show, you know, and there's, you know, a hard drive full of those, you know, in various stages of being done. But it's like, for us, it's, you know, we don't even hang out at the studio very often. We bring people around the studio to, you know, because we get them for free usually, and we want to let them have the experience, you know what I mean? It's like bring them into a studio, you know, put a good, nice microphone in front of them, you know. But, you know, like he was saying, he does majority of his stuff right here, and I'm sitting home in my boxer shorts doing them, you know, on the computer at my house, you know what I mean? It's like, it's amazing to be able to do that, and we just pass the hard drive back and forth, you know, and talk a lot about him, you know, meet at San Juan, you know,
Yeah.
Port Aransas, Texas.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, let's take a very quick look inside Third Coast Studios, where Nate and Josh give their players a professional studio experience. Take it away, Josh.
The studio, this is Third Coast Studio, Port Aransas, Texas. Come on in. It's a digital D8B, digital 8-bus, Mackie board. We run the window, the computer, record to these 8-ats here. We have a nice Vintech. It's modeled after a Neve console board preamp, and it just sounds golden. Patch bay, the headphone distribution. I gotta show them the Frank Sinatra mic. The Lawson, it's handmade in Nashville, and it's modeled after the old Telefunken microphones, like they used back in the day of Sinatra. Telefunken. We use that quite a bit on a lot of things.
You'll see a few more quick peeks at Third Coast as we draw this episode to a close, but after that, be sure to check out the downloads, as well as the performance footage of Nate and Josh playing the closing song from Dicky Comstock, No Friends Like Old Friends. Thanks for hanging with us, and I'll see you next week when we head back to California to meet the troll-loving leader of another loose collective. Enjoy.
It's always so hard to say